Progress.
Da-da-da. Welcome to one of our last wake up calls of the season. We are taking a pause from our wake up calls for the remainder of January and potentially moving forward. Um, for those of you who are on last night's call or the leadership call, drop in the chat one word that explains how you feel about the wake up calls ending. I've talked to a lot of people about it. And yeah, excited is a huge part of what so many people are saying, and I've also heard relieved. There's been a lot of expectation in like needing to show up for the calls, and honestly, you guys don't need to show up for the calls. You need to show up for your businesses and those that you are supporting. So this is going to be really, really amazing. And there has been this FOMO if you're not there. And a lot of we can have, so on Mondays for us who are leaders, we have the remembership call, the leadership call, and then we have the wakeship call. That's 3 hours of calls in one day. And we can be like, I've been working on my business for 3 hours, but have we really? So it's amazing that we're only moving forward with flash focus calls starting next week, because these are action taking flash focus calls. And I have ideas for the structures of them that I'm going to drop into important people's minds so that maybe we can have like a really great structure for it as well. Um, yeah, so I'm really excited. It takes the pressure off, it gives more space, it releases distraction and anxiety when you weren't there. And yeah, and Jen's team calls on Monday too. And for any of you who are doing the accelerator, there are also calls on Mondays as well. So it's a lot. It's crazy. Like my schedule's so busy on Mondays and then not busy at all on Fridays. So I've learned to do like more of my my own personal business foundations closer towards the weekend. But today, we are going to be talking about perfectionism in business. And we were just talking before I started recording about the 90-day reign and last year versus this year. And drop 222 in the chat if you joined last year's 90-day reign. I'm really, really curious to see who was a part of it. Cool. Bree, Liz, Steph, Lane, Sage. I was in it. I had quite a few team members in it. Yeah, Kimberly, Amanda. And so a lot of us did the 90-day reign last year, and it was our first year doing it. And we were really ambitious and incredibly excited and just really getting ready to amp up our team in a way that we hadn't yet done. And it was such a foundation and such a springboard for so many of us for the rest of the year. For those of us who fell off, we might have felt that energy throughout the remainder of the year. For those of us who really showed up and put our best into it and just showed up regardless, we might have felt that energy take place throughout the year of being okay to show up. And for a lot of us, we're now in the 90-day reign, and some of us feel really intimidated about the 90-day reign because of what our results were last year. Drop 333 in the chat if that's you. If you're feeling like you are a little like you're kind of holding on to what happened last year and bringing it into this year. I always have some fears of that from doing something again that I perceived a failure of. I'm like, oh no, am I going to fail again? And at this point, I'm okay if I do. I'm like cool with failing as many times as I need to get to success. And this is one of the things that we don't always get taught, especially when we're seeing so much growth on social media and so many people leveling up, having these direct sales. Like it takes so many failures to reach a success. And that's why they teach go for no, because I think honestly, more than 50% of success is failure. It is an inevitable part of your business, and we forget that. So the 90-day reign last year, I started really high and I went low, especially with my manifesting generator energy. I put so much out there so quickly and I couldn't fully sustain it. And also I just had life things going on. We know how life happens. So this year I'm taking it a little more slow and steady, and I'm focused on my values and the value that I can provide to others rather than the accomplishments that I want and the purchases that I can make from that. So it's like, how can I help people with X? What are my values? Some of my values are vulnerability, excellence, devotion is a huge value of mine. Community and connection are huge values of mine. So bringing those in every day when I show up and providing people value in a way that fully supports them. And absolutely, life does not stop for 90-day reign. Absolutely. Um, 90-day dedication to parasympathetic flow along with action. Exactly. So I haven't put any pressure, and this is the thing, if any of you guys are into human design, and drop your design in the chat, you know your design. If any of you guys are into human design, we feel pressure in our open centers, and that pressure is literally energy that we've taken from the outer world to show up in a way that we feel like we should. And we feel this pressure, especially being on so many calls and getting so much information from people and getting inundated with social media and not checking back in to clear all of that pressure. It exists and we feel it in our bodies. These are straight up energy center pressures that happen in our bodies. So when we begin to move forward without pressure, what we're doing is we're allowing our open centers in human design to take in information to allow us to grow and be more malleable and take it in, but to not rule our lives, and to let our defined centers and our authority and our profiles actually guide us in the right ways. So when you feel that pressure, it's really important to be like, okay, where is this pressure coming from? Because it's not just, oh, I feel so pressured. It's something that's physically happening in your body that you can absolutely change. So for me, with this 90-day reign, I'm moving forward with no pressure. And it feels so good. I've been doing a Bob Proctor meditation for the same one every day for many months. And he talks about moving faster with more ease. And I literally feel that. I refuse to rush during the 90-day. I'm not rushing anything because rushing is an incredibly inefficient use of our energy. And it puts us in a place of feeling like we're not going to get there, or I have to do it super fast and I have to figure it all out right now, or it's not going to work out. And for me, that looks like perfectionism in business, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And I want to see your guys's designs. 3-5, 3-5, 2-4, 3-5, 3-6, 2-4, 5-2 projector. I love. So with all of our designs, there's so many keys to them, and the My Human Design app is $5 a month or $6 a month. I think it's $5.99, and you can listen to all of your gifts and all of these different parts of yourself if you want to dive in. You might not even need to buy the app to do that. I bought the app specifically because I work with every single one of my team members' human designs, and I coach them based on their designs, based on their open centers, based on their authorities, based on every single layer of it, based on how their brain works, like all of it. Because how am I supposed to pick a one size fits all regimen from someone when every single one of us are so outrageously different? So when it comes to, actually, let's drink some water. You guys want to cheers real quick? Cool. So I want you to take a moment with your water, and I want you to thank your water for a really, really hard time that it's either made happen for you or that it's supported you through. I feel like we thank water for all the good things, but we forget sometimes about the challenging times. Thank you, water, for flipping my world around in 2022 and giving me all of these lessons to move forward 2023 with zero pressure and zero rushing. Yeah, Amy, listening to Ra himself is amazing too. Yep. Okay, so we're going to dive in. We have a couple of announcements just because it's a new year and a new reign and we've got things to cover. So our wake up calls are paused for January starting next week. We decided to keep this week's calls, one, because the newsletter was already out, and two, because that would have been like a really sudden, hey, we're not doing this anymore. So this week are our last wake up calls. And we're only doing one webinar weekly. So it's our science and business merging together, and it's the Wake the World webinar. And it's at, come on, it's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time and 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So come join us for that. We used to do the science and kind of the commission structure together, and then we changed that. So I'm really excited that we're bringing it all back. And just all of my webinars have always had both, because, like, how do you talk about this incredible machine without talking about the commissions that people can get for it, especially if there's a money thing? Um, it's really incredible what the commission structure and the referral program can do for people. Starting next Tuesday, I think it's starting today. If I think Jilly's on this call. Jilly, if you want to confirm about the Wake the World webinar, then let us know. So we have the announcement Telegram chat, and it's so funny. I've heard a lot of you be like, "Are you serious? We have another Telegram chat?" Um, we have an announcement Telegram chat that no one can send messages in. It is literally just a Telegram chat that has our announcements for the Wake. The Wakewater Co chat, the Wakewater coaching chat, and all the other chats that we have conversations happening with them. And we wanted a place that was streamlined where everyone could just see the announcements and go there if they just needed to know what was happening in the week or its systems that were changing. So the announcements chat is really supportive, and super easy and cool. So it's next Tuesday, starting with the Wake the World webinar. Are we having our normal webinar schedule this week? The reason why we're not doing the wake up calls anymore, and I'll keep it super simple, is we had the whole call yesterday, but we're not doing the wake up calls anymore because we started the wake up calls back in 2020 when the world shut down and when we barely had a website. So we didn't have any structure and we didn't have any support. And over the almost 3 years since then, we've built an incredible support system for everything that you would ever need. So instead of showing up to the calls, you have the Wake portal. And instead of showing up to the calls, you are taking action in your business, because a lot of people have used the wake up calls as a crutch. And it's just a lot of time and energy and calls that are taking energy away from literally showing up in our businesses. So we'll be having the flash focus calls moving forward Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that's where we're going to be taking action together. So all of the training and guidance and all of that we've done, we've got all of the recordings in the back office. We still have our wakeship calls and our membership calls, and then our flash focus calls. So we're taking some action. We also have our 90-day rain Telegram chat, and I would highly suggest dropping into that as well, setting your North Star and like being aware of your distractions too, so that we can move forward through this next 90 days with our intentions in focus. And then we have our Race to Freedom event, March 23rd to the 26th in Irvine, California. There is a wake stay, and there will likely be another Airbnb as well for the rest of us too. And it is 3 days of fully focusing on your business through the Race to Freedom lens, learning from their leaders and growing in a way that is super business focused and incredibly action oriented. It's also a beautiful time to come together with the community, because we are not having our reunion until July of this summer. So it's a great way to come together in business. It's a great way to watch your team grow. It's a great way to show up for yourself. I always suggest showing up for the events before you're ready. And if you are like super scared of it, if you don't think that you have the money, whatever it is, I suggest really working towards it for the next couple of months, because I do not know how I went to Florida for an event 3 weeks. I started my business, had no job, was teaching yoga, went to Florida for an event. 3 weeks later, went to Las Vegas for the GoPro event. And then 3 weeks later, flew to California for a yoga event, and then was in Maui for 3 weeks. I don't know how I had the money for any of that. I really don't. I like still to this day, it blows my mind, but I literally just accepted and expected miracles. And I was dedicated to my growth in this business. Like none of my excuses mattered. And none of my reasons why not to were big enough to overshadow my reasons of why. And it's the reason why my business is as big as it is, and why I've made such a big impact, because I believe in doing things before we feel like we're ready and just diving in and trusting. So those are our announcements. Now, we're talking about perfectionism, and a lot of this comes from Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. This book is about how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way that we live, love, parent, and lead. So I'm obsessed with Brene Brown. If any of you guys watch anything of mine, it's most likely related to Brene Brown and the wisdom that she's dropped into my life when it comes to vulnerability and showing up as a human who has tried to be a perfect, and I'm not a perfect, I'm a human. And it's been really beautiful in the way of learning how perfectionism has taken over so many of us and the really stealthy ways that perfectionism shows up. And the first thing that she talks about is what perfectionism isn't. And what perfectionism isn't striving for excellence. And actually, before we even dive into that, drop 333 in the chat for if you have struggled with perfectionism. And drop 444 in the chat if you have noticed perfectionism coming up for you right now as the 90-day reign has started. Yeah. A lot of us know that feeling of perfectionism. So, perfectionism is not striving for excellence. What perfectionism is it's a defensive move. And we're talking about perfectionism because we're about to have 90 days of intense focus. And if you guys keep focusing on your perfectionism, you will not get to where you want to be. Perfectionism is like it's like a really dark shadow that surrounds us that keeps us really small and scared of ourselves and what we can be. So it's a defensive move, and what we're defending ourselves from is shame, blame, and judgment. And we feel like if we do it perfectly, we'll minimize the shame, blame, and judgment. But the truth of it all, at the end of the day, is actually that shame, blame, and judgment are always going to be a part of our existence, and doing things perfectly is only going to maximize that shame, blame, and judgment based on the way that we see perfectionism. Perfectionism is not self-improvement. It is not about your own growth. It's not about where you want to see yourself go. It's not about your goals. It's not about showing up authentically to yourself. It's not about being supportive for you and your family and creating a legacy. It's literally about trying to earn approval. And I have seen this show up also within wanting approval from the Wake as a whole. And as someone who's been such a founding member of the Wake, it's so wild to feel that, because I know that the Wake is so inclusive and it's here for absolutely everyone. Like, it doesn't matter what you've been through or who you are or where you're going or where you are right now, you are accepted in this community. But we will sometimes try to earn approval even in this movement. And then also on social media can be such a vulnerable place. And some of us are showing up to earn approval instead of showing up to provide value. And those are two very different energies. And you can have a lot of success also in perfectionism. I will say that. And it's fake success. It's not success that you feel in your body. And it's that type of success where you keep running and running and running for it, and where nothing is enough. And where you feel like if you stop for just a day, everything will come crumbling. Drop 555 in the chat if you know that feeling, where it feels like your business is literally hanging on by a thread. And if you stop, everything will fall away. I have felt that deeply in my business. And I'm so glad for the cluster that 2022 was, because it's taught me so much about how to move forward with ease. And part of that is no longer feeling like my life will crumble if I slow down, especially as a manifesting generator and someone who moves really fast and also needs to slow down. So I was sending Jilly voice messages the other day, and I was like, one, my value is inherent because I exist. Like, I am valuable because I am literally living. And beyond that, my business is, what was the word that I used? Everything that I do continues to build and build and build. My business is so supportive because I have spent 3 years building it. And if I don't show up for a day, that's fine. Or if I show up like 10% of the day when I was planning 100, that's fine, because my business is cumulative. Everything that I have done matters right now. It's not just what I do right now that matters. It's everything that I've done up until this point. And that was a huge realization for me to be like, okay, cool. You don't need that pressure. Bye, pressure. Catch you later. I don't know which of my centers in human design that is, but I know it's one of them. And I'm like, no, not doing that anymore. My success is cumulative. My foundation is cumulative. And the places that I reach are always compounding on each other. So, and also I'm going to give you guys an assignment while we are doing this training tonight. So, or right now, it feels like nighttime. It's dark out. The solstice just happened. Either take a screenshot of one of these slides and put it on your story, or make a post of it, or make a video of what we're talking about. And this ideally will be done during this call. So if you need to mute me for 2 minutes so that you can create it. But that is your call to action for right now, is post a piece of something about what we're talking about right now. Yeah, Liz, exactly. Not showing up for December and your team still making sales. It's like, it feels so good to know that you've built something that is supportive to you. Perfectionism is not the key to success. How many of you have walked around in this business thinking that perfectionism is the key to your success, and that if you just get it right, it'll be perfect and everything will go right? And you spent like 4 hours on that piece of content or 4 hours on that presentation and not much happened. Yeah, it's huge. It actually happens. And we feel that. So you want to know what's crazy? Perfectionism, when we have researched perfectionism, it shows that it hampers performance. Your performance will decline based on your perfectionism. Your success will decline based on your perfectionism. And that need to hold on to this false reality of control that you have no control over at all. And the reason why perfectionism shows up for a lot of us is because we know that we don't have control of our results. So instead of putting ourselves out there and leaving ourselves vulnerable to what will naturally happen when we put ourselves out there, we don't put ourselves out there at all. And you guys, we have a business and a product that the world literally needs. We've helped people have like extra years with their grandparents. I helped my partner get out of 5.5 years of migraines. From the age of like 2 to 7.5 of his son, he was not present. He was in a double migraine every second of every day. 2 days into drinking the water, it's gone. This is a mission. This is a purpose. This is really big. Oh, vision board's falling. Perfectionism is also correlated with anxiety, depression, and addiction. And we'll talk more about how perfectionism is literally addictive, but that we get anxiety when we are focusing on perfectionism, and we get depression when we're focusing on perfectionism. Anxiety is like that focus on the future of like, I don't know what's coming and I don't know what to do. And I'm just focusing on this perfectionism because I'm trying to control it, but I can't really control it. So I'm not going to do anything. And depression is that feeling of like, not even knowing what to do next, or how to show up, or how to be a human anymore, because you've tried to be a perfect and you're not a perfect. Drop it in the chat. I am not a perfect. Like it's a little creature. I am a human. I am not a perfect. There we go. I am not a perfect. I am a human. So there we go. I love this. So perfectionism isn't the key to success. It is the fear of failure. Your perfectionism is your fear of failing, not your excitement of succeeding. It's your fear of failing, which is huge. Start getting excited about your success. Don't worry about your failure. You're going to fail. I promise you. If there's one thing that I can guarantee you on this journey, there's a couple. 1, the water is absolutely going to change your life. 2, the business is absolutely going to change your life. And 3, you will fail. You will literally fail so many times, and it will hurt. All of us who you're looking up to as leaders, we've all failed. We've all not known what we're doing. We've all suffered with perfectionism. And perfectionism is not a way to avoid shame. Because what's crazy is perfectionism is shame. And shame is this really deep, dark emotion that says there's a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is a positive action emotion. Shame is a negative action emotion. So with guilt, it's saying, I didn't succeed that time. And it gives us the opportunity and the space between us and the action to figure out how we can change. Shame is that same action of not succeeding, but instead saying, I'm a failure. And when we take the results of our life and make them our personalities, that's where shame comes in. And it leaves us feeling really small. And shame thrives on not being talked about. Shame thrives on your inability to speak about it and reach out. And a lot of you who are not taking action are stuck in perfectionism and are stuck in shame. And the greatest thing you can do is just talk about it. Tell someone about it. Someone in the wake will absolutely understand what you're going through. We've all gone through it. And you want to know what's crazy? Vulnerability is the one thing that we look for in others. It's the first thing that we look for in others. All the leaders on the stage, what leader in 2022, and this can be in GoPro, like any leader in the world, not just in the wake, what leader, and you can do the wake, what leader in 2022 inspired you the most? Maybe it's a specific call or a specific book or a specific like seminar that you watched, or you've been following their content and they've super inspired you. Who is that leader? What's crazy is we want to see the people who impact us the most are the most vulnerable about their journey. We want to see vulnerability in others, but we don't want to show vulnerability in ourselves. We're afraid of being vulnerable because it's hard. Something could happen. The water wizard at Race to Freedom in May. I love that. So this is all about like being vulnerable with ourselves and realizing where we actually are instead of setting these standards that we'll never reach. We are not a perfect at all, and we never will be. So there's something called healthy striving versus perfectionism. Healthy striving, which is what most of us are aiming for and is a great place to be, is self-focused. And it's focused on how can I improve? And it helps you grow. Perfectionism is what will they think? So it's not focused on the value of what you're providing. It's not focused on how much you know and how much you've learned and how much you've grown. It's focused only on what will they think. And it's a hustle energy. It's that energy that never stops moving or doesn't move. But you'll see that if you're stagnant in one place of your life, based on shame and perfectionism and blame and all of that, you're hyperactive in a different part of your life. We still move. Energy still moves in our bodies and in the ways that we show up. So maybe you're watching too much Netflix. Maybe you're playing a lot of Sudoku. I played a lot of Sudoku when I was in my shame bubble for a little bit in 2022. I was like, oh, I love Sudoku. No, I loved hiding away and having an excuse to not show up. And perfectionism is focused on others' perception of you. It's not focused on your own perception of yourself. It's not focused on how you see yourself. It's focused on how others see you. Oh, I love that. Honestly, watching Jilly step into her voice on a level that was unapologetic yet graceful, and getting back to her roots and allowing that to be shared authentically to those around you. That inner child coming through saying, wow, I grew this. I can trust my vision. It's so true. So true. We're surrounded by visionaries. It's pretty amazing. So, what is perfectionism? Perfectionism is a self-destructive and addictive belief system based on doing things perfect enough to avoid the pain of our human experience. Because if we're just perfect enough, it'll be fine. I won't hurt. My life won't collapse. I won't feel the pain. I won't have to know what it looks like to feel vulnerable and to fail. I can't bear failing. So instead of failing, you do nothing. You flop. You do nothing. Perfectionism is unattainable. It's about perception instead of internal motivation. Your perfectionism is helping you show up in the world to gain validation from others. It's not about gaining validation for yourself at all. It's your own external motivation that can be really destructive. Because if we're focusing on other people's perceptions and following that, there's literally like 8.7 billion perceptions that you might be battling. And you try to be one thing one second and another thing the next second and the other thing the next second, when really you could have been internally motivated and just been yourself. We can't control perception no matter how hard we try. And I feel like that's a big code. You're not going to be able to control how people perceive you ever. Obviously, be a good human and be in your integrity and share with love and be open to growing. But even if we try as hard as we want, people might still see us as a salesperson who's trying to just sell them something. People might say that this water is a scam. It's not about you, it's about them. But we take it personally. And perfectionism is addictive. When we focus on perfectionism and we fail, we believe that we just have to be more perfect to get it right. So failing within the confines of your perfectionism breeds more perfectionism because you just think that you weren't perfect enough. And all you have to do is be more perfect the next time and everything is going to be great. Except it won't, and it never will. And perfectionism sets us up to feel shame and self-blame. It's my fault. I'm not good enough if something doesn't succeed. Instead of like, oh, well, I can learn from that. Where do I need to grow from here? How can I show up a little bit differently? What might not have worked? Can I ask people? Can I get some feedback? Because perfectionism and shame are based on not talking about it. So the moment you start talking about it and the moment that you begin to name it, it gets easier. So having these conversations is important. And your remedies to perfectionism is going from what people will think to I am enough. I am enough is going to be so huge for your own growth inside and outside of this business, inside and outside of this 90-day reign. If you can focus on I am enough during this 90-day reign, you will grow so much more than doing the 10,000 things that you think that you should do because you're so pressurized based on what other people have told you that it doesn't even feel good anymore. And you're doing it because you're trying to be perfect. But I am enough gives you the opportunity to on the days when you don't show up, where life got hard, where you were sucked in by your emotions, where things just went crazy, it's fine that I didn't show up. I'm still enough and I can show up tomorrow. The reason why a lot of us fail for a day and then let it encompass our entire reign or our entire year is because we got stuck in the shame and perfectionism of it and we weren't able to get out. And we didn't say that we are enough. We said that I'm a failure. So it's important to appreciate the beauty of your cracks and imperfections. We all have cracks and imperfections. There is literally not a single person on this earth who doesn't have cracks and imperfections. And it's so wild because we're all trying to hide it. Like it's some sort of secret. Like we all don't feel it all the time. Self kindness is another remedy to perfectionism. Being warm and understanding to ourselves when we fail, suffer, or feel shame. Where did you specifically fail, suffer, or feel shame during the 90-day reign last year? Or if you didn't join the 90-day reign last year, anywhere in your business or anywhere in your life. I suffered and felt shame when I was like the first 45 days into the reign. I was like on it. I was doing so much. And then as soon as I came home, I was just drained. And instead of honoring that, I labeled myself as a failure and that I couldn't do this and that I didn't want to. And I just sat in my little suffering bubble and did nothing. And it's not that I don't have the energy. Hello, I've got energy. It's that I didn't have the self kindness towards myself to be like, it's okay, Kira. I grew up being heavily validated by success and achievement, and that's shown. And it's so beautiful that we're not doing prizes during the 90-day reign because it's bringing in our internal validation and our internal motivation. When I didn't feel in a perfect, I would hermit, yeah, and not show up. It kept me from showing up a good portion of the time. Exactly. I suffered when I procrastinated because it gave my mind more time to think and judge versus be. Learning to take inspired action quicker has truly helped me. Absolutely. And I've so seen that in you too. It's been amazing. Some of us have channels in human design where we thrive under pressure. Yes, I thrive under pressure, but the pressure is not in me. I thrive under pressure, not in pressure. And the thing we teach, that's in my design. The thing we teach people is to alchemize the pressure of perfection to the pressure of I see myself, I'm handling it. This is where I got the quote, I unsubscribe to overwhelm, I can handle it. Because I'm good at handling pressure. It's something some of us are here to teach others. Exactly. I'm good under pressure. Amazing. Within pressure? No, not at all. I do so well under pressure. Remedies to perfection, common humanity. Suffering and feelings of personal inadequacy are normal. So realizing that it's like a normal human experience that you're going through instead of demonizing yourself for going through it. Because we will all go through it. You guys are going to have hard times during this 90-day reign. Yes, it's a time of intense focus. Yes, we've got our North Stars. Yes, we've got our distractions that we're not doing, but you might do some of them. And it's okay to be inadequate some days. And it's okay to suffer some days through this. And it's okay to not know where you're going. Julie gave us the call to action last night. And if you didn't watch the training, the Wakeship training, I highly suggest watching it. Get an internal accountability partner, which is someone that you reach out to. They're not going to follow up with you. They're not going to reach out to you. It's usually like a family member, a mentor, an upstream. And then get an external accountability partner, someone who you guys like check in on each other, someone who's checking in on you. And these are people that you're going to talk to when you're struggling during this 90-day reign because failure is inevitable. Every single North Star that you have will be met with some sort of failure, some sort of struggle, some sort of inadequacy, some sort of getting out of your own way. And when we normalize that and make it a part of our common humanity, it gets easier. You may have something go viral, which is a great thing, and have a lot of really mean comments on that. That's your suffering. If you put on your North Star that you wanted to go viral, there's suffering in that. You may want your business to boom and you may want to be a leader. There's suffering in not knowing how to onboard someone and having to figure it out while you're doing it, which is great. All of this suffering can be a motivator when we're not stuck in the shame and the perfectionism of it, when we're just open to growing. Yeah, bonding over our failures with our accountability partners. Exactly. Yeah, the TikTok comments are of another level. I know. People are nasty. They're just dehydrated. Honestly, I look at the comments and I'm like, you're dehydrated. Like, what kind of water are you drinking? Mountain Dew? How about Mountain Don't? And remedies to perfectionism, mindfulness. So, taking a balanced approach to negative emotions so that our feelings aren't suppressed or overexpressed. So, there's definitely a balance in the mindfulness of what you're going through. We don't want to suppress our emotions and what we're going through. That's why we have accountability partners and people to talk to about this. And you don't want to be overexpressed. So many people get so stuck in their shadow work and in their expression of what they're going through, and they kind of lose it. And I'm like, whoa, 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 you didn't need to lose it. You got this. It's fine. So that is it for my perfectionism slide in presentation. I have other slides. I took last year's, it's really cute. I did last year's 90-day rain, day 2, after Jilly did the membership call on Monday. And I still have that presentation. Would you guys like to hear some of Eric Worre's codes? Or are we feeling full on perfectionism? So we can end 10 minutes early. Or you guys can drop 888 in the chat. Okay, share the codes. I'll share the codes for like 5 minutes, and then I'd love if like one person came out and broke through their perfectionism and shame and talked about it. Cool? Cool. Okay, so the simple truth in your business is that you will get rewarded for who you've been in your business. Or, I don't know why it says the same thing. You'll get rewarded for who you've maybe not been in your business. Are you more of a taker or a giver? And this is really important because it will show up in your business. The way that your business is working right now is a reflection of you. We're working with water, you guys. This water is going to reflect everything back to you. How you've previously responded to your community is getting reflected back to you. If you've been posting content and not talking to people and like not being in your messages and not responding to your comments, not getting to know people and not providing value, you're going to notice that coming back to you very quickly. And if you have been providing value and if you've been building community and if you've been focusing on connection, that will come back to you as well. You'll see it. You will get rewarded for who you've been in your business or who you haven't been in your business. And the secret is that all of it can change and it can change fast. So starting to take evaluation of where we have been in our businesses and what we like, where we've been motivated from and what we've been trying to do. Have we been trying to sell machines or have we been providing value? Have we been stuck in perfectionism and shame or have we been open to growing? Because that all those energetics play a part. We live in a very energetic world. We can't see it, but we can feel it. So Eric Worre says, don't be mad at your community based on how they perceive you if you've given them a reason to perceive you that way. One of the things, so as a 5 in human design, a lot of people will God complex me that I can save them or I'm going to be how they reach their success and blah, blah, blah. And I literally have to tell them, I'll say this in my lives and on my stories and in some of my videos, like you're going to be completely responsible for your own success. I'm not doing that for you. I'll help you and we'll get there together. I'm not doing that for you. And that's something that I've had to change a perception of, because people have thought that I'm going to save them. I'm not going to. Take responsibility for your piece and then start giving more. If you guys aren't having like sweet, thoughtful conversations, or like if you're posting more like challenging things on social media and you're getting challenged back, it's because you're being challenging. And there aren't good or bad people, there's just bad habits. So if you're thinking that you're bad at this business, it's that you have bad habits. Some of them being perfectionism and shame, some of them being showing up on all the wake up calls and not taking any action, some of them being just not allowing yourself the space to just do it. I just shared this code for the first time with one of my team members, but I gave her an assignment to suck. I was like, be really committed to your suck. Just do things crappy for a day, because she was so focused on perfectionism and she wasn't showing up. I'm like, just do it bad. And that's a good habit of her doing bad, because it's her showing up. Her bad habit is not showing up at all. I'm like, let go of that perfectionism and just commit to sucking. Commit to going on Canva and making a sucky post, because you've made 0 Canva posts ever. Comparison is the thief of joy. So in this 90-day reign, stop comparing yourself to others. Stop comparing yourself to where others are. You literally have no idea what we've been through, ever. Most of us haven't shared our most challenging days. Most of us wait until the challenges are over to share what we're going through. It's unfair to compare. And if you're discouraged by others' success, let it go and focus on yourself. You can mute people. If someone like really, if you're watching someone's stuff and it's making you feel discouraged about yourself, unfollow them or mute them. You don't have to continue putting yourself in that. People might just be unfollowing you because your success might be too much for them to handle, and that's fine. And if you're competitive with others' success, use it as your fuel. This is what Eric Worre says, and I do believe it to a point. But also look at where you derive success from and what that looks like for you, and really get grounded in that. Let go of limiting beliefs, comparisons, and sob stories. If you stay in your bad habit, you're not getting help. I'm not going to help you. Your mentor is not going to help you. Your friends aren't going to help you. Your family is not going to help you. Mr. Oshiro is not going to help you. You've got to help yourself. Let go of it all. And get uncomfortable in this business for so much more than yourself. Do it for your future team. Do it for the people that you're calling in who need this business, who are ready to grow in this business, who want to be a part of something bigger, who hate their jobs, who are sick. Your worst habit is blame. Blame is a dead end street. I think last year when I did this presentation, we were all laughing. We're like, blame is lame. Blame is a dead end street. Something has to change in order for you to show up and take action. Blaming anyone for your problems is never going to get you anywhere. Blame is asking for sympathy, not help. Blame is saying it wasn't me, it was them. It was X, Y, and Z that's happening in your life. And the more that you blame, the more that you're going to get reasons in your life to blame. The more that things are going to fall apart so that you can use them as an excuse to not show up and continue to blame. So rewrite that story now. Something has to change in order for you to show up and take action. I was talking to one of my team members earlier, and I was like, are you sick of yourself yet? She's like, yeah, I'm sick of myself. I'm like, good. I've been in a sick of myself energy too. Like, I'm just done with any of my excuses or any other reason that I've given myself not to show up. I'm ready. I'm just ready. And it was beautiful because we're changing that habit of whatever it is, perfectionism, shame, blame. So our guiding principle through the 90-day reign is to plan, do, review. So this is very simple. We make a plan, we do the plan, and then we review the plan. What did I do? What did I learn? What were my results? And then we make a better plan. So this is focused on your own growth and not perfectionism. It's like, okay, I made a plan and I did a plan, and how did that plan work out? If it worked out great, perfect. We continue doing it. If we need to adjust it, we adjust it. Plan, do, review everything. You can plan, do, review your schedule. You can plan, do, review your distractions. You can plan, do, review how you show up each day. And that's about it for our presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing. We will have a community review at the end this time too. It's going to be fire. Amazing. Maybe we could do like a halfway review too, and maybe reset some energy if some people fell off. I feel like halfway is a pivotal point. So before we end this, does anyone want to come out and share how they've been battling with perfectionism or shame? And then we'll hop off. You can drop me or 222 in the chat if you'd like to share. You don't have to, but it's nice to. Cool. Sage, I felt you. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
But my computer froze. You can just talk and then I'll pin you when my computer is done.
Okay, I've been really facing like my perfect and letting go that I am not a perfect. I've been dealing with that actually a lot lately. It was funny. It's just been kind of like a slow progression coming into the 90 days of rain, reflecting where I'm at and looking at what's happened the past 2 years in my life. It's so nice to see you again too. So much has happened and I've built several things at the same time. And there were so many times I was hard on myself for this aspect of my business when I was also building like a holistic health business on the side and doing something with my partner and moving states. And I ended up getting into festival stuff and different things and judging myself harshly for not showing up at times in the wake. And I'm like, girl, how much are you doing right now? You're doing so much in your community. You're sharing the water and you're blaming yourself and telling yourself you're not doing things in this business. You're just doing them your way. And I have the wake and I'm here to show up with you guys more now because I finally feel I've had the space to build certain things that I've needed for myself, especially as somebody who is a hermit opportunist. Like that's my go-to anyways, and learning how to balance that and then come back out in public and be social and connect. And I'm better in person, so digital is always a very hard thing for me and something that I've actually been breaking down a lot more. And I'm so happy to be breaking that down because I definitely see the connections a lot more and things like rekindling and just in the flow state of where I should be now and accepting that and letting that perfectionism go, that I'm not going to be this version of myself that I used to be where I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and kill myself and have every bit scheduled and micromanage every certain thing and think I could do it all and I'd get myself sick. And I dove into autoimmunes, making myself sick, doing all that. And now learning how to balance my body and all that stuff. So yes, that's one of my things I've been dealing with a lot, with letting go of perfectionism and learning to really know you're enough in that moment. That is huge. That was one of the biggest ones for me. And writing that on my mirrors and seeing that, yes, I'm enough, I'm worthy, I'm exactly where I need to be on my journey. And it's not going to look the same as anybody else's. So yeah, that's my share.
Hello. I am host now. What does that mean? Chris or Jilly, are you here? Okay. Oh, Chris, can you jump on? I think your last connection. Apparently, I'm host now.
All right, you're leading the call. What else do we got? We got another hour. Come on. You're on the spot.
That's funny. Cheers, folks.
There you go. Good default. Now, Kiera just said in the chat her computer crashed, so we'll wrap it here.
Thank
All
you.
good. All right, y'all. I was hearing the whole time, so thank you for sharing all your vulnerabilities. They're your greatest strengths. Good stuff. We'll see you guys later today on the Wake the World webinar, and we'll see you guys the rest of the week. Take care.
Thank you.